Both the Secretary of Defense and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs have a warning for Russia over the possible threat to Ukraine.
We strongly encourage Russia to stand down.
General Mark Milley and Secretary Lloyd Austin today said war is not inevitable and that diplomatic options are absolutely still on the table. But the policy of the United States is to support the independence of Ukraine based on the treaty signed with the UK, Russia, and Ukraine back in 1994. Now, if you don't know what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, go watch this video I posted a few days ago. Now, back to today's press conference. General Milley said definitively there have been no U.S. troop movements as of right now. And if any of those up to 8,500 U.S. troops are deployed, they would be in support of our NATO allies, and no one intends to put any combat troops in Ukraine to conduct any combat operations. For the record, Ukraine is right here in gray, and though not technically a NATO ally, it shares a border with 4 NATO allies: Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, and Romania. Secretary Austin said the U.S. military is preparing a wide range of capabilities to support those NATO allies and all the other ones in the region, shown here in blue and teal. Speaking of those NATO allies, Defense Secretary Austin said in the last few days he has spoken with his counterparts in France, Germany, Poland, and Romania, and they have all been very good conversations. General Milley said even without the U.S. troops, NATO has quite a large response force that includes more than 130 brigades, 93 squadrons of high-end fighters, and 4 carriers. It's also important to note the president of Ukraine says he is not convinced at this point that Russia will invade and is concerned all of this talk will destabilize the safety and confidence of his people. If you're a parent who received a monthly child tax credit payment, you already know the IRS sent you a very important letter, but there is a really small group of you who received a letter that was incorrect. First, I have been telling you for months, if you received a monthly child tax credit in 2021, the IRS sent you letter 6419. That letter is critical for you to accurately file your 2021 tax return. That number in that letter represents the dollar amount the federal government says it gave you in monthly child tax credit payments. If the number you put on your tax return does not match the number included in that letter, your tax refund may be held up because the IRS would consider it inaccurate. I'm going to explain the math and how you properly calculate the number that you put on your tax return in a second. But first, back to those incorrect letters. The IRS said yesterday there is a really small group of you whose letter included the wrong number. The dollar amount indicated on your letter may be incorrect if you changed your address or changed your bank account information in December of 2021 and your monthly check was returned as undeliverable or your direct deposit was rejected. The IRS says they are working on the issue and they will give you an update soon. To the math. You start with the total credit that you are allowed to claim based on your income and your child's age. Then you subtract that by the amount of money the IRS paid you in monthly child tax credit payments in 2021. And the answer to that very simple math problem is the amount of credit that you can claim on your 2021 tax return. Now, this is that critical number that will be included in that letter 6419 that's coming from the IRS. If this number doesn't match the number that the IRS has on file for you, that's where you get into problems, and that's how the IRS says that your return may be inaccurate. So what do you do if you know the number in the letter doesn't match the records of what you actually received? If there is a discrepancy, the IRS says you should rely on the number that is listed in your IRS online account. That number will be updated according to the IRS by January 31st. The IRS says do not rely on the child tax credit update portal or your tax transcripts for the advance payment total. They say that information may be outdated. One more little note. If you filed your taxes married and received the monthly child tax credit in 2021, the IRS sent each spouse a letter. So you need to combine those totals to get the correct balance that you claim on your 2021 taxes.